Discovering the incredible truth, after 5 heartbreaking texts, I transformed our lives forever. Jake sat alone in his dimly lit garage, his fingers stained with grease and his heart heavy with despair. The once bustling haven of engines and laughter now felt like a tomb where only echoes of dreams lingered. He sighed, glancing at the empty chairs lined up against the walls, a stark reminder of the family that was slowly drifting away. The paint on the walls was peeling, mirroring the frayed edges of his spirit. He wiped his brow, but the sweat wasn't just from the day's work. It was the weight of a woman and children who felt like distant stars. Lost in the dark, the phone buzzed unexpectedly, pulling him from his thoughts. 5 texts from Lily, his younger sister. Each ping echoed louder than the last, raw with longing and tinged with pain. "Help me, Jake. I don't know what to do." The messages broke him open, flooding his heart with memories of a chaotic childhood that shaped them both in ways he wished they could forget. Just when he thought time could heal, it ripped fresh scars into the fabric of their bond. Stepping outside to catch a breath, he found himself staring at the fading light of sunset. The world around him buzzed with life, yet he felt invisible. He was the local mechanic, a fixture of the town, a strong back under constant pressure, but here he was, trapped inside his own heart, wrestling with confusion and regret. Guilt clawed at him. Memories rushed back of too many choices made or never made that had left him here. Lily had been so vibrant, filled with dreams. Now she returned broken, beset by demons he couldn't understand. His hands tightened into fists. Did he have the courage to reach out? Their conversation grew heated, clarifying nothing, blowing the dust off resentments they buried. Accusations flew, clashing about class differences, their upbringing, the paths that had led them to this moment. Each word stung like a bee. His heart ached, yet he pressed on. "I just want us to be family again," he shouted, the desperation pouring from his voice. She was silent, but through her silence, Jake felt her walls strengthening again. They seemed insurmountable, built of years of misunderstandings. A flicker of hope glimmered as he thought they were moving forward, inch by inch, but that glimmer morphed into a gut-wrenching twist when she pulled away. "I can't do this, Jake," she whispered, leaving him alone in the cold veneer of disappointment. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into hours, and the annual community event approached. Jake's heart raced. It was time to stand up. He found himself staring into the eyes of his fellow townsfolk as he spoke. "Lily deserves love." His words hung in the air, tension crackling like static electricity laced with disapproval. He felt their judgment, yet also the glimmers of admiration from those who understood, pulling at the edges of acceptance and forgiveness. But where would this lead them? Would his declaration of love shatter the barriers further? Or, against all odds, would it pull their fractured family back together? The crowd held its breath, and Jake stood, his heart pounding, staring into the unknown, waiting for the final word that could either heal or break them all. Jake's eyes scanned the crowd, searching for a familiar face amid the sea of uncertainty. He spotted Mrs. Reynolds, the town librarian, who often offered to read to the children at the local center. Her warm smile encouraged him to breathe. Then he saw all the familiar faces, their expressions a mix of support and skepticism. He took a step forward, feeling a surge of resolve wash over him. "Lily is the light of this family," he continued, his voice stronger now. "She's battled demons that most of us won't ever understand. But she's not alone. None of us should be." A murmur rippled through the crowd. He could feel their thoughts washing over him, a tide of empathy clashing with doubt. Deep down, he hoped they would see that family wasn't just about blood. It was about connection, healing, and the courage to try again. Behind him, he caught a glimpse of Lily standing at the edge, her arms crossed tightly against her chest. She looked smaller than he remembered, swallowed by the weight of expectations. Jake's heart sank. He could almost feel the suffocating pressure building up around her, as if the very air had thickened with her sadness. "Help me." A small voice rang out from the crowd, startling Jake out of his thoughts. It was a little girl, Sarah, the daughter of one of his oldest friends. "Why can't you just fix it?" The question hung in the air, pure and innocent, but it cut deep. Jake felt every heart in the crowd turn toward him, the eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and desperation. "I wish I could," Jake replied, swallowing hard. "But sometimes, fixing things takes more than tools. It takes love, understanding, and a willingness to move past our pain." He looked directly at Lily, willing her to see beyond the hurt. "I'm here, Lil. I'll fight for you, just like I always have." Silence enveloped them, palpable and heavy. Time seemed to pause, and Jake's heartbeat rang loud in his ears. Could this be it? Could this moment bridge the gap between them? He focused on Lily, silent tears streaming down her cheeks, glistening under the festival lights. Then, unexpectedly, a ripple of applause broke out through the crowd. At first hesitant, it quickly transformed into a roar of encouragement. Each clap seemed to reverberate within Jake, sparking something awake in his chest, igniting the flame of belief. But just as he felt the warmth of support wrap around him, he noticed Lily shifting back, her eyes wide and panicked. "I can't, Jake. You think words can make up for everything? You're living in a dream." Each syllable hit him like a brick, almost knocking the wind out of him. "Lily, please," he pleaded, desperation flaring in his voice. "This is our chance. We can." But she turned sharply, hands trembling. "You don't understand anything." The moment shattered into chaos. Jake's heart sank as he watched her start to back away. In that instant, he realized that the journey ahead would not just be about bringing her home. It would require going into the depths of their shared past, confronting shadows and murmurs they had buried for years. With sudden clarity, he stepped toward her, grounding himself amid the noise. "I'm asking for a chance. A chance to listen, to learn. Let us talk, really talk. Not just in texts or anger. Let us meet somewhere in between our worlds." Jake extended his hand toward Lily, the distance between them now feeling insurmountable yet painfully close. The crowd waited, holding its breath in a collective moment of anticipation. What would she do? Would she take his hand and allow their story to unfold anew? As uncertainty hovered thick in the air, Jake realized he had found his true fight, not just for Lily but for the life they both once envisioned. And with that realization, he could hear the tremor of her heartbeat through the silence, waiting just like him for a spark of hope. But then she hesitated, her eyes brimming with unshed tears blending fear and longing. "Jake, what if we fail again?" In that moment, the question hung suspended in the air, challenging everything they had known. Would they dare to step into the uncertain future together or retreat back to their lonely corners of pain? The answer lay just beyond their grasp, and Jake felt the tremble of the unknown pulling them in different directions. Jake's heart raced as Lily's words echoed in his mind. What if we fail again? The question was a dagger, cutting deeper than he had anticipated. He wanted to reach through the swirling doubts and hold her close, to wipe away every fear lined on her face. But there, under the festival lights, with all those eyes watching, he felt the weight of their shared history settle heavily between them. "Sometimes, failing is part of the journey," he said quietly, his voice breaking the silence. "But what matters is that we try. Together." The sincerity behind his words felt like a fragile bridge connecting him to her, but he couldn't yet gauge whether she would step across it. The applause around them dimmed into a gentle murmur as if the crowd itself sensed the fragile moment unfolding. Jake kept his eyes locked on Lily, searching for any sign of hope, any hint that she might relent. He sensed the subtle shift in her posture, a breath caught in her chest, which suggested uncertainty, not just fear. "Look, I know it won't be easy," he continued, reaching deeper into his heart. "But I also know that we've got something worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for." A tear trickled down Lily's cheek, and the luminous glow of the festival lights caught it just right. Time froze as Jake fought against the swirling chaos of emotions within him. Grief, hope, fear, and longing all struggled for dominance in that moment. Could he show her that love could be different this time? That they could be different. He took another step forward, heart pounding. The crowd shuffled restlessly, their faces shifting from concern to curiosity, each person silently willing Lily to decide. "Please, Lil," he whispered. "I'm here. Whatever it takes, let me be here for you." Lily stared at him as if the world around them faded into a blur. Jake held his breath, desperately hoping she'd grasp his outstretched hand and pull him back into her life. But instead, she looked away, her eyes flitting over the crowd, the faces of their neighbors, friends, and those they had grown up with. Each one carrying their own expectations of a happy ending. "I don't think I can be who you want me to be right now," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I deserve to be." That stung. Jake's chest ached with the magnitude of her words. "You're more than enough, Lily. You have to believe that." He fought to keep his voice steady, each syllable heavy with the weight of his emotions, but she shook her head, the haunting shadows of the past wrapping around them again. "You're asking too much, Jake. I don't know how to let go of my regrets. I don't know if I can change." With a sigh that felt like a gust of wind through a long-abandoned space, Jake felt his resolve waver. "No one is asking you to change overnight. Just take a small step with me. Let us be honest about what we feel." Lily's silence enveloped them again, heavier now, the tension palpable. The glimmer of hope he had clung to dimmed. This was not how he envisioned their reunion, not at all. Finally, he whispered, "I need you to meet me halfway." She hesitated, visibly torn. The crowd around them watched, breaths held, hearts aching for both Jake and Lily. In that critical moment, the ground shifted beneath them. Lily slowly raised her hand, trembling as if it contained the weight of their future. What if halfway isn't enough? Jake's heart raced once more, a pulse of urgency igniting his senses. "Then we'll keep walking until we find what we need," he promised, determination painting his words with a thread of hope. As her hand reached for his, Jake realized the battle was just beginning, not against each other, but against the history that held them captive. With fingers mere inches apart, he felt an electric charge in the air. This was it, a defining moment, a choice that could reshape their lives forever. But as he looked into her eyes, uncertain still if she would bridge the gap, he wondered if they could conquer the past or if it would always haunt them. Suddenly, a loud horn pierced the night, snapping them both. From the brink of decision. The festival had reached its climactic moment with fireworks about to explode overhead. Jake glanced at the sky, then back at Lily. Would their love be able to shine as brightly, or would the explosion of doubt pull them apart once more? The spark danced in the air, teasing them with possibilities, and their next step remained shrouded in uncertainty. What waited at the other end of their hesitations? The fireworks erupted in a kaleidoscope of colors, splashing across the night sky, a symphony of light and sound that momentarily overshadowed the turmoil between them. Each burst illuminated Lily's face, casting shadows that danced with uncertainty. Jake could feel his heart drumming in time with the explosions, a reminder of everything that hung in balance. That he took a breath, battling his rising anxiety. There they were, two people wrapped up in their fears while the world celebrated around them. He reached out again, his fingers brushing Lily's just as a brilliant shower of stars spilled above them. "Let us not let this moment slip through our fingers," he urged, his voice firm yet gentle. Lily's gaze flickered back to him, those deep pools of emotion swirling with something he hoped was yearning. "Jake," she said, her voice husky, almost lost beneath the roar of the fireworks. "What if we let each other down again? What if this is just another beautiful moment that doesn't mean anything?" The question hung in the air, more daunting than any firework. Jake felt the gravity of it, but he refused to yield to despair. What if it does mean something? What if this is the beginning of us taking control of our story instead of letting our past dictate it? As the last firework exploded in a brilliant white flash, showering sparks that cascaded like falling stars, he saw something shift in her expression. Hope. Maybe. She took a step closer, her hand finally resting firmly in his. "You really believe in us that much?" she asked, her voice steadying, a fragile trust beginning to tether them together. "I believe in you, in what we could be." I know it's messy, and I know it's complicated. But I also know that every time I think of you, I feel a spark. Not just tonight, but all those other nights in the past too. He felt her fingers squeeze his, the warmth igniting a flicker of joy amidst their entangled fears. And what about the scars? Lily whispered, her eyes welling up with unshed tears. Are they just supposed to disappear? No, he said softly, his heart aching with understanding. They're part of who we are. But that doesn't mean they define us. I want to work through it together, every little piece. For a moment, Lily searched his eyes, looking for truth amidst the chaos. Was it really possible? Could they navigate through their tangled history? As she searched for an answer, the celebration buzzed around them, oblivious to the weight they carried. Jake, what if we tried to begin again, really begin? Her voice was laced with both fear and hope. That's all I want, he confessed, the words tumbling out with a fervor he could hardly contain. Let us start fresh. We can take it one day at a time. Lily took a deep breath, a tremor of vulnerability flashing across her features. And if one of us stumbles? Then we'll be there to catch each other, just like we should have been all along. In that moment, their hearts beat as one promise, a pact to fight against the shadows that had kept them apart. As the last few fireworks faded into the night sky, leaving plumes of smoke in their wake, a new clarity began to emerge between them. Lily leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I think I'm willing to try. Jake's heart soared, grounded by a resolute hope that felt as bright as the festival lights around them. But as he gazed into her eyes, a new anxious thought crept in. Would saying yes to this attempt bring them joy, or would it simply uncover the buried hurts they'd both tried so hard to forget? And behind them, the night changed abruptly as a distant commotion grew louder, a shout in the crowd, an unexpected turn of events that threatened to invade their sacred moment. What could possibly challenge this newfound hope? The air shifted again, and Jake felt the weight of the unpredictability lurking just behind the curtain of their budding relationship. As reality crept back in, one thing became clear: the true test of their connection might just be unfolding right before their eyes. The crowd buzzed, excitement turning to confusion as murmurs rippled through the festival goers. Jake's heart raced as he turned halfway around, straining to catch sight of what had caused the sudden uproar. Do you hear that? Lily asked, her grip tightening on his hand, her eyes darting past him. Yeah, he said, trying to mask the tension in his voice. I think something's happening over there. The laughter and cheers from earlier faded as concerned faces gathered. A few people pushed past them, moving toward the source of the noise. Jake felt a spark of dread twist in his stomach. This was their moment, and now it seemed to be slipping through their fingers once more. Let us go see, Lily suggested, her tone both curious and anxious. With an unspoken agreement, they began to weave their way through the crowd. Every step felt heavy, every cheer around them a stark reminder of what they were trying to rebuild. As they approached the center of the commotion, a group of people stood in a circle, whispering urgently to one another. What is going on? Jake asked a nearby onlooker. Some kid fell down, the stranger replied, his face pale. He might be hurt pretty bad. Lily's expression shifted from anxious curiosity to real concern, and Jake felt that urge to protect her deep within. Let us just go, he said, ready to draw her away from the cluster of people, but Lily shook her head. No, we can't just walk away. Someone might need help. Jake hesitated, torn between a desire to shield her from pain and the stark reality that life wasn't always perfect. He nodded, turning to follow her as she pushed forward, his heart pounding for different reasons now. They reached the front, finally seeing a young boy on the ground, cradled by an equally worried mother. Panic washed over Jake as he witnessed the tear-streaked face of the child, fear evident in his wide eyes. A couple of people knelt beside him trying to reassure him, while a woman pulled out her phone, likely to call for help. Lily stepped closer, her instinct to comfort taking over. She knelt down beside the boy, who gazed up at her with wide-eyed innocence. Hey there, what's your name? She asked softly, her voice steady. Danny, the boy squeaked, glancing around, clearly frightened. I'm Lily. You're doing great, Danny. Can you squeeze my hand? Jake watched her, marveling at how easily she connected with the terrified child. In that moment, the fears that once clouded their relationship seemed so distant. There was a subtle magic in witnessing her compassion. It reminded him of why he had held on to hope. "Mommy, I can't feel my leg," Danny whined, and Jake's heart sank. He could feel Lily's hand trembling as she held the boy's, but her voice remained calm. "It's okay, Danny. Help is coming, I promise." Suddenly, sirens pierced through the night. Hearing them barely registered, Jake was too focused on the raw emotions around them. The fear, the love, the very essence of life and vulnerability. With help finally on the way, they shuffled back slightly, giving space for the paramedics. Lily stood, still holding onto the boy's hand as the medics rushed in. "You're going to be just fine, Danny," she reassured him gently, but as Jake looked into her eyes, he felt a quiet resolve. This experience stirred something deep within him. If they could confront fears together, perhaps they really could face whatever shadows still lingered in their past. "Lily, you were amazing," Jake said when there was a break in the chaos. "You just knew what to do." She smiled at him, but it was wistful. "I just hope it was enough." Behind them, the commotion lessened as the paramedics began to stabilize Danny. Jake took a breath, feeling a mixture of hope and trepidation. They had made it through another challenge. Little by little, they were carving a path back toward each other, but as the crowd dispersed, he couldn't shake the feeling that all this was just a precursor to a deeper revelation. Something was still waiting to be unearthed, lurking in the shadows. What could it be? Would they truly overcome their past, or was there a harsh truth waiting to shatter the fragile peace they had begun to build? As the crowd began to thin, leaving only the curious onlookers and the fading sirens in the distance, Jake felt an unexpected heaviness in the air. The fear and uncertainty that had taken hold of the moment was slowly being replaced by a sense of togetherness, yet somewhere deep inside, he sensed something was brewing. "Hey, let us find a quieter place," he suggested softly, glancing at Lily, whose face still carried traces of concern for Danny. She nodded, though her eyes lingered on the scene. Jake led her away from the festival's heart, down a side path that offered a reprieve from the vibrant chaos. They found a small shaded area with wooden benches under the flickering string lights. It was a welcome contrast to the frenetic energy they had just left behind. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, concern lacing his tone as he turned to face her. Lily took a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "Yeah, just it was so scary seeing him like that. I've never dealt with something like this before." "I know. You were really strong, though," he said, sincerity brightening his words. Your calmness really helped him. Her lips curved into a small smile, but her eyes still betrayed worry. "I just hope he didn't get hurt too badly. Kids are so fragile, you know." Jake could sense the emotion bubbling beneath the surface. "You're right. But the important thing is you were there for him. You were a comforting presence when he needed it most." Lily nodded, but then her face turned serious. "Jake, do you ever think about our past? How far we've come?" That question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken memories. He thought about the restless nights, the heartache, the distance that had grown between them. "All the time," he admitted. "It's hard not to. There were moments when I felt like we were too broken to fix." A flicker of vulnerability crossed her face. "I had those moments too. But seeing you care for Danny, it reminded me that we're capable of more than we realize. Maybe we can still heal." His heart swelled, warmth spreading through him. "Lily, if we can stand here after everything, if we can be there for someone else, then we can tackle anything together." The moment felt transformative, suspended in time as they shared a quiet understanding. But before either could say more, loud laughter erupted nearby, pulling them from their intimate bubble. They glanced toward the laughter, where a group of children ran past, carefree and wild, oblivious to the earlier chaos. It was a poignant reminder of innocence and joy, Lily chuckled, shaking her head slightly. "It's funny how fast life moves, huh?" "Yeah," Jake replied lightly, but in his heart, he couldn't shake the lurking shadow of unaddressed fear. I want to talk about everything that happened. Us. What it all means, she murmured, her eyes earnest. Me too, he said, feeling a weight of anticipation. They were standing on the precipice of something important. But just as he opened his mouth to push forward, a sudden shout sliced through the festive air. Watch out! Someone yelled. They turned in unison towards the chaos still simmering in the distance. The sight that met their eyes sent a chill down Jake's spine. A nearby stage had collapsed, sending people scrambling in panic. Jake, Lily whispered, her voice trembling. What do we do? The night had shifted from a moment of connection to a crisis. Every instinct within him screamed to protect her, to act. As adrenaline rushed through his veins, he took a deep breath. This night was far from over. Come on, we need to help, he said, determination igniting in his voice. But as they rushed toward the chaos, Jake couldn't help but wonder if this new challenge would finally push them past the limits of their past, or would it draw them deeper into its shadows. As they raced towards the collapsing stage, a wave of sound washed over Jake's shouts mixed with cries for help. Each step felt heavier, like wading through molasses. Panic surged around them, but in Jake's chest, determination boiled. Stay close to me, he urged Lily, grabbing her hand. The warmth of her grip steadied him. Even amidst the chaos, people were moving frantically, some darting away from the wreckage, others rushing in to aid the fallen. Jake could see a few figures trapped beneath the twisted metal and wood. The sight wedged at his heart, tightening his throat. Each cry echoed with urgency. Over there. A nearby woman shouted, pointing towards a girl who was pinned under a heavy beam. The girl's face was pale, her eyes wide with fear. Jake felt a jolt of resolve course through him. Help is coming. Jake shouted, sprinting toward her. Adrenaline surged, blurring the edges of everything else. Jake, wait. He heard Lily's voice behind him, but he pressed on, instincts taking over. The girl's terror twisted something inside him. He couldn't just stand by. With a quick look back, he saw Lily was right behind him, her expression a mix of determination and fright. They reached the girl together, and without hesitation, they knelt beside her. It's okay, we're here. Can you wiggle your toes? Jake asked, his voice steady. She nodded, but the fear stayed etched on her face. Hold on. We're going to get you out. Lily reassured her, glancing around for anyone who could assist. Jake and Lily began pushing against the beam. It felt impossibly heavy. Sweat trickled down Jake's back, a reminder of the mounting urgency. Just a little more. Jake grunted, straining with every ounce of strength he had. He could feel Lily's determination growing with him. Their shared resolve felt like a lifeline against the tide of chaos. Suddenly, a group of festival volunteers joined them, rallying around the beam. On 3. One man shouted, and everyone nodded, counting down in unison. 1, 2, 3. With a collective effort, they managed to shift the beam just enough for the girl to wriggle free. Relief surged through the air like a gasp of fresh breath. Tears flooded the girl's eyes, but there were no words, only gratitude. Get her somewhere safe. Another voice cried, and the volunteers whisked her away. In that moment, the enormity of what had just happened washed over Jake. He turned to Lily, breathless. We did it. Together. I never knew I could feel like that, Lily replied, her eyes shining with a mix of emotions: fear, relief, and something deeper, akin to hope. They stood in the aftermath, surrounded by a host of emotions: the joyful reunions, the cries of distress, and the quiet strength binding everyone together. Jake felt a flutter of something unfamiliar between them, their shared experience knitting their hearts tighter. But in the distance, the evening sky darkened with thunderclouds, an unsettling omen that not everything was resolved. Jake, she started, her voice trembling slightly. We need to talk about our future. About what came before. Before she could finish, another shout pierced the air. Look out. Jake's heart sank as he turned to see another structure cracking ominously above. Lily, we need to get everyone away. He shouted, urgency flooding through him once more. As they ran together, hand in hand, he felt the weight of possibilities pressing down on them. Life was fragile. Every moment counted. And with the chaos still unfolding, they had to make a choice, act, or risk losing everything they had just begun to reclaim. What would that choice lead to? The air thickened with fear as they tore through the sea of panicked bodies. Each shout, each cry was a shadow of the disaster unfolding around them. Jake's pulse matched the urgency of their escape. He knew they had to get to safety, but the chaos behind him felt inescapable. Jake! Over here! A volunteer waved frantically, guiding a group of bewildered festival-goers away from the panic. Jake and Lily pivoted, joining the small crowd, their hands still intertwined. Keep moving. Lily urged, her voice slicing through the tumult. Jake could see the determination in her eyes. It encouraged him, fueling him with strength to press on. They stumbled forward, weaving through the crowd. Jake noticed children clinging to their parents, expressions twisted in confusion. Parents were shouting for their missing children, desperation etched on their faces. Each sight dug deeper into Jake's heart, a reminder of the fragility of life. Just as they reached the outskirts, another loud crack reverberated through the air. Jake's heart stopped as he turned around. A section of the stage splintered and crumpled, sending up plumes of dust and debris. No! Jake gasped, the realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. They couldn't just leave. There were still people trapped beneath the debris, trapped in a nightmare. Jake, it's too dangerous. Lily shouted, pulling him back. I can't, he breathed, panic rising within him. I can't just walk away. You don't have to bear this alone, she replied, her grip tightening on his hand. But we can't help anyone if we don't stay safe ourselves. Let us find a way to help without putting ourselves at risk. Her voice cracked through his turmoil, and he caught a glimpse of the stormy sky above. They had just fought to save someone, how could they turn away now? Okay, we'll find a way, he relented, but resentment burned inside him. As they moved further into the crowd, a wave of guilt settled in his chest. He felt helpless. Jake, Lily said softly, glancing around. What if we just stayed here? We can guide people out. We have experience now. He nodded slowly. That made sense. It wasn't about running into danger but about making a difference from where they stood. Their focus shifted to the gathering crowd. Jake spotted a frantic mother searching the faces around her. My son. Kyle. She cried, voice hoarse from fear. Lily, we have to help her, Jake insisted, squeezing her hand for support. Excuse me. Lily called out, her voice piercing the chatter. Does anyone know a boy named Kyle? The faces around them turned, stricken with dread and concern. Over here. Someone shouted from across the expanse. A boy emerged, dirty and scared, tears streaming down his face. He rushed toward his mother, and the moment he was in her arms was electric, a spark of joy amidst the sorrow. Jake felt a twist in his heart. That moment captured everything: love, loss, and the unexpected warmth of hope. Through this, Jake glimpsed something deeper with Lily. They weren't just two people thrown together in chaos, they were partners. They were becoming something more, navigating not only the wreckage of the night but the wreckage left behind in their own lives. Lily turned to Jake, her eyes shining with determination. We can make it through this. Together. Before Jake could respond, a distant rumble echoed, a sound not just from the sky but something unsettling beneath their feet. The ground trembled, and he could feel the pulse of fear return. What now? Jake whispered, heart racing. Lily's expression hardened. We need to get everyone ready to move fast. As they prepared for whatever lay ahead, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this night was only the beginning of their journey to rediscover themselves. Could they navigate the chaos and find their way back, not just to safety, but to each other? The trembling ground beneath them roared like a wild beast. Panic rippled through the crowd, and Jake felt the pressing weight of fear squeezing his lungs. He glanced at Lily, whose face was a mixture of steely resolve and barely contained panic. "Stay close," she shouted, pulling him forward into the surging throng of people. Around them, festival-goers were calling for friends and family, their cries blending into a chaotic symphony of desperation. Jake's heart raced. It was a surreal blending of fear and determination. Every face he saw reflected the same concern: lost, terrified, and yearning for safety. Yet here they were, standing amid it all, ready to help in any way they could. "Look!" Lily pointed toward a family, a father desperately trying to find his scattered kids. "We should help them." Before Jake could respond, he caught the gaze of a small girl standing alone, her wide eyes glistening with tears. She clutched a stuffed bunny as if it were her lifeline. "Where's my mommy?" she whimpered, her voice small yet piercing through the tumult. "I'll get her," Jake replied instinctively, his feet moving before he had a chance to think. He knelt down to the girl's level, searching her face for some sign of comfort. "What's your name?" "Maya," she sniffed, glancing around for signs of her mother. "Okay, Maya. Let us find her together." He extended his hand, hoping to give her a bit of strength. Lily watched him, a mix of pride and urgency racing through her. "I'll check this way. You go that way." She pointed to the left, pushing her way into the crowd. Jake took a deep breath, knowing he might turn a corner and find the very danger they had been running from. But fear didn't control him, it only fueled his resolve. He started moving, weaving through panicked bodies, calling out, "Maya's mom. Where are you?" The cacophony of sounds faded a bit as he focused on his task. Voices and cries blurred together, and he held on to the hope that they would reunite. Just ahead, he saw a woman scanning the crowd. Her eyes were frantic, a reflection of Maya's fear. "Mommy." Maya's voice broke through the haze, and Jake felt a rush of relief. "Maya." The woman rushed forward, dropping to her knees as they embraced. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she clutched her daughter tightly, exhaling a breath of despair mixed with gratitude. For a moment, all the chaos around them seemed to fade. This was a moment of light in the cloud of darkness surrounding them. Jake smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "Thank you," the mother gasped, pulling back to look into Jake's eyes. He felt as if he had just moved a mountain, for this small act had changed everything for them. "Just doing what I could," he replied, glancing around for Lily. She had returned, a slight smile on her face. "I helped another family too," she said, her voice shining with pride, but then the ground shook again, more violently this time. The sound of cracking wood echoed in the distance, sending another wave of panic through the crowd. "Jake, we have to get everyone out of here," Lily shouted. The urgency in her voice snapped him back to reality. "Right. We need to move," he replied, adrenaline pumping through his veins again as they turned toward the chaos still unfolding, but the shift in the atmosphere was alarming, and an unshakable feeling settled in Jake's gut. What if it wasn't just panic? What if it was something worse lurking beneath the surface of this disaster? They had two choices now: to keep helping others escape or to strategize an exit route for themselves. Jake felt the weight of the decision heavy in his heart. As uncertainty swirled around them, he glanced sideways at Lily, and saw the same question reflected in her eyes. Could they stay strong in the face of whatever lay ahead? Their hands tightened together once more, an unspoken promise to face the unknown. But as a chorus of screams rang out from the center of the festival, Jake's heart sank. "What now?" he breathed, trying to steady himself. Before Lily could answer, the ground trembled again, much harder this time. A loud crash echoed through the air, and gasps of horror erupted from the crowd. Was this really the end of their fight for survival? The answer loomed ahead, and Jake knew that whatever came next would redefine everything they thought they knew about hope, about love, and maybe even about each other. Jake felt the world tilt dangerously beneath them as the ground trembled again, an ominous growl rumbling from deep within the earth. The festival, once a vibrant tapestry of laughter and joy, was now a battlefield of fear and desperation. He scanned the faces around him, each etched with dread, and felt a renewed sense of purpose ignite in his chest. They couldn't just run, they had to pull together. Lily! He shouted over the cacophony, grabbing her shoulder to get her attention. We need to lead everyone to the far end of the field. It's safer there. He locked eyes with her, finding strength in her resolve. This was their moment. Right. She nodded, determination blooming on her face. They turned to the crowd, voices urgent and charged with energy. Everyone. Follow us. This way. As they began moving, Jake felt the weight of their past, their shared burdens, slowly lifting. Each person they guided became a thread, weaving a new tapestry of connection. A mother with a baby in her arms. An elderly man struggling to walk. A teenager clutching his younger brother. With every step they took, fear was replaced by a sense of purpose. Keep moving. We're almost there. Jake encouraged them, glancing at Lily beside him. She was shining, her spirit radiating. You're doing great. She called to a group of frightened teenagers at the back, but just then, a sudden loud crack split the air, sending shockwaves through the crowd. A nearby tent flopped violently, flinging stakes into the air like missiles. Get down! Jake shouted, instinctively pulling Lily close as the chaos of panicked screams erupted again. With hearts racing, they crouched under the temporary shelter of another tent's edge. Jake's breath felt like fire in his chest. How could this be happening? This was supposed to be a night of reconnection, a night to bridge their past. Instead, it felt like every shadow they defaced had come crashing back. Is everyone okay? Lily called out to the murmurs of uncertainty around them. Her voice steadied as she glanced around, ensuring no one was left behind. Here! Someone shouted, and Jake recognized the voice. Mrs. Reynolds, the librarian. She was huddled with a few children, and relief washed over him to find her safe. Help them. Jake instructed Lily, who immediately nodded and rushed towards them with purpose. As she moved, Jake's heart swelled. That fierce light within her was undeniable now. In that whirlwind of urgency, time felt fluid. Each moment stretched like a rubber band ready to snap. With every voice, every scream, and every plea for safety, Jake could feel the essence of community rising, turning despair into unity. Come on, everyone. Stay close. We're almost to the edge. Jake encouraged, and just as they were nearing the exit of the chaos, a family rushed forward, visibly distraught. Our mother. They cried. She's still back there. Jake and Lily exchanged glances, knowing the stakes had never been higher. Without hesitation, he squeezed Lily's hand tighter. We have to help them, he said, his heart pounding with the weight of his decision. Okay. Let us do this together. We can't leave anyone behind, she replied, her eyes lit with fierce determination. Their bond, once fractured, was now a steady force, propelling them forward even when faced with fear. They dashed back into the fray, weaving through the chaos. Jake's heart thundered in his ears as they searched, calling for the mother. Ma. Where are you? He yelled, adrenaline coursing through him as he spotted a woman in the distance, trembling and lost. There. He pointed, and they rushed forward. We've got you. As they drew closer, a crack erupted beneath them. Instinctively, Jake shielded Lily with his body, both of them tumbling forward, arms locked. The world felt like it was spiraling, but they rolled to safety together. Panting and dazed, they pulled themselves upright. The air was thick with dust, and the shouts around them faded slightly as they focused on one another. You okay? Jake asked, looking into her eyes, searching for any hint of fear. Yeah, thank you, Lily. Breathed, a radiant smile breaking through the intensity of the moment. Let us just get them to safety. They quickly guided the mother and her family toward the exit. Jake felt a surge of triumph as they stepped into the open sky beyond the chaos, the weight of fear beginning to lift, but as he turned toward Lily, an unyielding pull of emotion gripped his chest. Tonight we faced so much together, he said, his voice raw. It made me realize how much I need you. To fight for us. Lily's expression softened, and she nodded earnestly. Me too. I was so scared, but doing this with you I feel stronger. Fireworks broke out above them in a vibrant display, bright against the darkening sky, and they both turned, their hearts synchronized in that magical moment. As the colors burst overhead, it felt like a celebration of resilience and renewal. I want to start anew, Jake said, taking her hands firmly in his. We don't have to navigate this journey alone anymore. Together, she affirmed, tears glistening in her eyes, echoing their unbreakable bond. And just like that, amidst the flames of chaos and the darkness of their past, Jake and Lily stepped into the light of a new dawn. They would rise above the shadows, embracing whatever came next, connected by hope and love that had weathered storms and emerged stronger. Now they were ready for the adventure ahead, together at last. As the festival light flickered around them, Jake turned to the audience watching this extraordinary transformation. You need to subscribe now to witness more incredible stories just like this. Hit that like button so you can help spread the word. Don't hesitate to comment on your thoughts about this powerful ending. And, I urge you, share this moving journey with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of unity and love through tumultuous times. This is the moment to showcase your support.